Hi everyone and welcome once again to another episode of our Result Delightful lesson. And for today we have a new video and our lesson is all about the simple tenses of the verb. So of course let's talk about verb first. So this is a sort of the review of what is a verb. So when we say verb, we all know that this is an action word. So can you give me an action word? So for example, so I am talking. So talking is a verb. Listen, dance, what else? You may also say walk. Okay, let's say talk, sing, dance. So these are some of the examples of an action word. So we are going to discuss all about the simple tenses of verb. Alright, so we will focus on to the tenses of verbs. So when we say tenses, a while ago I mentioned that verb tells an action word, right? But this time, let's focus on to its tenses. When we say tenses, it describes the state of being. So when we say state of being, meaning that it describes that the action happened, happens, or it will happen. So take note of these terms, that the state of being, meaning to say that the action, does it happen already, happens, or happening at the moment, or will happen. So which leads us to the three tenses of the verb. So when we say the three tenses of the verb, if it happened already, of course, we are talking that the action is already in its past tense. Okay, understand? And if it is happening now, so we can say the action is in its present tense. But if the action will happen tomorrow or next week or the following day, of course, this will be in its future tense. So remember, tenses of simple tenses of verbs, we have the past tense, the present tense, and the future tense. I hope you understand about that. All right. So if we are going to give an example, so remember, look at the pattern. So let's talk about past. Then we have present, then we have the present tense of the verb. So may I discuss to you about the base form of the verb and the S form of the verb. So we have rule in the subject verb agreement that if the subject is singular, meaning the subject is only one, meaning it follows a singular verb. So we have our singular subject must follow the S form of the verb. So the verb must have that S form. So let's say dances. Then if the subject is plural, of course it follows the plural form of the verb. So our clue there is the base form of the verb. So dances, it's the S form, and dance is the base form of the verb. So that is all about in the present tense of the verb. So let's use the word dance. So dance is the base form of the verb, and then if it happened already, of course we have the rule that if it is in its past tense for regular verb, it will use the suffix, so it may either be d or ed. So the past tense, let's talk about regular first. So forming the past tense of regular verb, you may use the suffix d or ed. So you may just add the syllable d or ed. So for this one, we have rule that if the verb ends with e, you will just add letter D to form its past tense. So let's say dance. Then if you will form its past tense, then it ends with the E, right? So you need to form it by just adding D. So dance is the present tense and the past tense is danced. So it is the sound of T. Though it is written as D-A-N-C-E-D, it is pronounced as the sound of T. So we have danced. So that is all about the past tense of the word dance. Now, if you will dance next week, next Wednesday, let's say next month. So for the future tense, you will use the word will or shall. But for this video, let's use the word will. So will plus, remember, will plus the present tense of the verb. Always the present tense of the verb and focus on to its base form. Remember, present tense, but you will use the base form of that verb. So the word dance, so you will say for future is will dance. Don't write will dances or will danced. Remember our formula. Will plus the base form of the verb in its present tense, of course. So we have now danced, dance, and will dance. So that is all about for regular verb which the word ends with E. So dance ends with E. What if our verb ends, for example, let's say the word is walk. So walk is the base form, right? And what is the S form? Very good, it's walk. So you will just add S. So we will use the present tense base form of that word is walk. So what do you think is the past tense for walk? Very good. So you will add now ed. So for this time, you will not just add d, but you will annex or connect the syllables ed to come up with the word walked, which is the past tense of walk. So what about its future tense? Anyone? So of course, again, you will use the word will plus, you are correct, it's will walk. So see, that is all about our forming the past tense and future tense of the verb. What about if we will have the word is, let's say, climb. Okay, so will you do it for me? So that our present form, the base form is climb. So will you write it in your notebook? Okay, so what its past tense? Remember, our rule, to form its past tense, you will just add ed or d. All right, so the word is climbed. So this time the sound of d, it's climbed. So what about its future? So will plus climb. Very good. So we have climbed, climbed, and will climb. All right, so what about this one? So what if we have the word want? Want. I want that the pandemic will end now. So want. So what do you think is its past tense? Very good. So the word is wanted. So this time the sound of ed, wanted. So did you observe? So we have wanted and its future is will want. Very good. So did you understand about forming the past tense and future tense of the verb? So always remember this table. So again, that is our past, present, and future tense of identifying if the sentence, whether it shows present, past tense, or future tense, you need to identify, you need to be familiarized with the so-called time expressions. So in identifying the kind of sentence, whether the tense is in its present tense, past tense, or future tense, you need to remember the time expressions. And it is also the same as time indicators. So in a sentence, you will see you will read some time expressions or indicators used by the writer. So, for example, if we talk about the past, then what is a time expression that shows that the action already happened in the past. Very good. So we have the word yesterday. So that is a very good example. Yesterday, the other day, what else? Ago. So these are some of our time expression. You may say last week, last Monday. So you may say that one. Last April. So we have the word last. What about the present? So present is, of course, you will say time expression now, at the moment. So these are some. At the moment, or you may say today. So yesterday, then you say today if you will talk about the present. Then, of course, we will have the time indicator for future tense. We have if yesterday for past, today for present. What about the future? Very good. It is tomorrow. So you will say tomorrow. Or you may say last or next week, next month. So these are some of the time expressions or indicators that you can read in a sentence if you will identify what tense of the verb used in the sentence. Okay? Remember our time this as an example. So, will you read it for me? Okay, so let me read. My friends and I will visit the zoo next Sunday. So, can you give me what is our subject? Who is our subject here? All right, so my friends and I. So think of that. So remember the number in grammar, we have singular and plural. How many are they in the subject? So two. So of course, we have plural subject. Now, can you give me the verb? All right, so the verb is visit. Can you identify the time expressions or the time indicator? Very good. So we have the time indicator next Sunday. So our time indicator or time expression. So let me just write TI or E. Now, what do you think is the tense used in this sentence? My friends and I will visit the zoo next Sunday. Okay, so this is in its future tense. So what do you think? Why is it that it's in its future tense? Because of our verb, we have there our verb phrase, will visit. Very good. So will visit. And another clue is by the use of our time expression, next Sunday. So, my friends and I will visit the zoo next Sunday is a good example of a sentence with future tense of the verb will visit. So you may say, my friends and I will go. Will go to the zoo. Will go to the zoo next Sunday. Or you may change next week or next month. So those are other time expressions that you can use. Okay, so what about this example? She prays the rosary every day. So, what is our subject? She is our subject. So, identify if it is singular or plural. So, she is singular. Very good. So, this is singular because we are referring to only one. So, a girl. So, she prays. So, remember the rule. If our subject is singular, it follows the S form of the verb. So, what do you think is the answer here? So, she prays the rosary every day. So, remember, she is singular, so it follows the S form of the verb. So, you may also change this one into, or you may change also to he. So he is also referring to a boy or a masculine gender. So he is singular, so it also follows the verb praise, the S form of the verb. So he prays the rosary every day. So do we have a time indicator here? Which is the action is happening now, or it happens regularly. All right, so the word is every day. So she prays the rosary every day. So that is if our subject is singular. What about if we have plural subject? So you may just say they. So you may say you may use the subject. They pray the rosary. They we pray the rosary. So you may say, we pray the rosary. You may also say, I pray the rosary every day. Which leads to, remember the point of use in grammar. So this is an additional knowledge that for singular, you will use the he, she, and it. So this may use the S form of the verb. Take note of this, the S form of the verb. Then, you may say also you, though you are referring to only one, still you is, it follows with the be, the base form of the verb. Also with the third person point of view. So, you may say we or they. So, we is in its first person. So, they. So they will also follow the base form of the verb. So because he, she, it is singular, then you, then we, they, plural. So it follows the base form of the verb. Okay?